Hey everybody, it's Jerry again, Jerry Citarella, here to educate, inspire, and enlighten. And I have a special guest with me today that I'll introduce in a second. But as you know with these series, it's not about me, it's not always about financial planning. I want to bring value to you people who are giving up your valuable time to spend watching me, some knucklehead on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you are. I do appreciate it. So I want to try to bring some value to you. And you know, one of those things we all do in life is buy things and always hope we got a good deal, right? Everybody thinks they got a good deal. Everybody goes through this process and there's a lot of confusion, especially around cars, right? Car dealerships. So I have Kevin Chasen with besmartautobrokers.
Yep, exactly.
And we're going to talk to him a little bit about the process of buying a car in a more, what I say, like a less traditional way?
I'd say more like an alternative.
More alternative, okay. More alternative. And since his shirt says it, a smarter way.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
Perfect. So Kevin, thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here.
Man, glad to be here.
Yeah, so I'm going to let you do most of the talking, but I just want to kind of talk about my experience. You know, I think I'm one of few people that actually enjoys going to a car dealership.
You are. You're one of the rare few. That is for sure.
You know,
some people like the spar.
Let's go a few rounds. I know the game.
It's a chess match.
I'm going to give you the price that I want. You're going to tell me you don't think you can do it. You're going to walk in the back. You're going to come back, say, sorry, we couldn't do it. We're going to go a couple rounds. You're going to go again. You're going to come back with a manager who then says you can't do it. We're going to go 2 or 3 times. And then we're going to end up at some final point, and then you're going to take me into finance, and then you're going to try to sell me all kinds of warranties that are 3 times the price I have to pay, and then that's another negotiation, which gets kind of fun. And so it's a process that I know most people don't like,
right.
And most people can't get through it as successfully as I probably could, just because 1, I understand it, and 2, I enjoy it.
I mean, you're a finance guy. Come on now.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people also get taken advantage of.
Yep.
By that situation. You know, I know people will, I don't want to say there's anybody that's bad in the world, but there's a chance that maybe a car dealer sees someone coming in that they can tell they can.
Yes.
And it's a very different deal.
Yep.
If you walk in and I walk in and my wife walks in and my kid walks in, all trying to buy the same car, we're probably going to get very different prices.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. So what you do, correct me if I'm wrong, is help people get the best possible deal they can on the car that's right for them with a process that's as easy and seamless as possible?
Yeah, so essentially what I'm doing is bridging the gap between buyer and seller. It's kind of like a real estate agent with a few tweaks, right? So if a client calls me, the first thing I want to know is what they're looking for. Do they want a big car? Is it a family car? But realistically, the more specific they are, the better, right? So some people call me, in the case of someone like you, like we'll start with that as an example. You wouldn't be my ideal client. Usually what I would tell someone like you that enjoys the chess match, they enjoy the mental spar, right?
Okay.
Realistically, I would want them to be my last call, because I say realistically, there's totally a chance that some people call me and they have a really good deal, right? Not always the case. I'd say that's kind of more on the rare side, but realistically, for someone like you, I would say to make me your last call. Okay. That way you could say, listen, got them out the door, here's the purchase agreement. They said $500 a month, or they said $50K cash, or whatever the case may be. Can you beat that? And if I can, you could either go back to them if you really wanted to, which obviously wouldn't be ideal, but if I can earn your business that way, that's usually what I would try to do.
Okay, so you're fine with someone going shopping, doing all that work, and then coming to you just to see if you can improve on the deal?
Yes, but realistically, what I'm trying to do, if someone is interested in cross-shopping, or they're the kind of person they want to touch it, feel it, smell it, right? Then I encourage them to do that before I start calling my dealers, because I work really hard to work. I work as a commercial dealer. Okay. So I don't work, when I call a dealer, these are going to be my dealers. They're not sales reps on the floor. They're commercial fleet guys that work with, obviously, commercial accounts as well as auto brokers.
Gotcha.
So my price is not the same. I always tell people that the GMs, the fleet guys, the owners, they love me. They get to make deals without having to have any salesman time get taken up. That's how I get
or
discounts as well.
compensation to them, right?
Correct.
Right, and
But
and you bring them volume over time, so they appreciate that and help you out as well.
yes, and the other side of it is that the salesman can't stand me because I can get cars for lower price than them. Their inventory on a deal they've been working on, they could come in the next morning and it's gone and delivered, which is a misconception because people are always like, let me put you in touch with Jimmy, you know, he works at so-and-so Chevrolet, and I'm like, they're not going to want to hang out with me, and they can't really help me.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So your ideal person is someone that, well, why don't you tell me your typical person that would come to you, or your ideal person? What does that look like?
So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So there's one door where people that, how do I say this? If my most common inquiry is going to be families that are growing that want a third row SUV or a car for their daughter or son that is either in high school or college. By far my most common one. So that's one door. The other door is who is my ideal client. My ideal client is someone who values their time and just wants a good deal on a car. They don't want to do exactly what you described. They don't want to go into F&I. They don't want to spend 5-6 hours at a dealership.
And that's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's 5 to 6 hours once you decide on the car you want. And of course, they always tell you, we're going to get you out of here quickly. Oh, we'll make you a great deal. We'll get you in and out in no time. And it's 5 or 6 hours once you get to that point. And just to get to that point, it could be another 6, 7, 8, 9 hours with deals blowing up other places.
And I want to make a point, too, that is funny because I always make a joke. I'm like, if you take this mug, and they're like, okay, you go into a mug store and they say this mug's $5. And then another person goes in 5 minutes later. Car industry is the only place on earth where I could take one look at you and say, he looks rich, he looks poor, she's a girl, she's a guy, and say, okay, you know what, it's $10 for you, but it's $5 for them.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what brokers are trying to prevent our clients from having to deal with, is that game, is that chess match where you know that as a broker, I don't care if the car is 15 grand or 150 grand because my commission is set from the dealers on the back end that does not necessarily come out of the client's pocket. So a lot of people think that I'm incentivized to sell a Porsche because it's more expensive, when in reality that's incorrect.
Oh, okay. Taught me something. I figured a bigger ticket would be better, which leads to the fact that you're not motivated to put somebody in a car. You're not selling them a car. You're just providing the car that they want. Mm-hmm. At the best price you can get them, but there's no motivation for you to try to upsell them. Where if you walk into a dealership and go, I'd like this base model, and they're going to try to option it up so they can get a bigger commission.
Exactly. So like, let's use an example as a Porsche, right? That's a pretty common one. That's like the entry level.
You can tell he's a car guy because he calls it a Porsche.
Porsche.
Cool people call them Porsches.
Yeah.
Those of us that aren't cool, we call them Porsches.
Yeah.
Porsche. So okay, your Porsche.
So with the Porsche, the car itself is obviously more expensive than, let's call, a Honda Accord, right? But the reality of it is my ability to negotiate a deal is going to be easier on something like a Honda because the margins are better, right? That car has more wiggle room. The Porsche, it's a very desirable car. The margins are paper thin, which eats into my ability to not only get a discount, but it also eats into my ability to negotiate a deal, or excuse me, to make a commission for myself, because the dealer doesn't want to part ways and pay me $500, $1,000, $1,500 when in reality they're not really making much. Because you point out something else, it's really about F&I. People think that these margins that I can get 10, 20 grand on a car, but where I'm saving you money is going to be the financial side. Because when I get a car delivered, it's just me and someone from the dealer. You don't go to F&I at all.
Gotcha.
So
okay, and that's where it gets ugly.
That's where it gets ugly.
Yeah. So you do, I'll call it low end for lack of a better word, and high end, everywhere in between. So what's the funnest, most interesting, maybe not most expensive, but if it is most expensive, what's the coolest car that you've been involved with so far?
Coolest car I've been involved with so far? That's a good question. You know, as much as I'm a car enthusiast, I like the shocks. I kind of like the cars where it's kind of a silly example. I wouldn't say it's the coolest car because it's actually quite far from it, but I recently did a Toyota Sienna minivan, which was one of the most difficult cars to allocate, which people think that they're just sitting on the lots, you see them all over the road, but in the reality, it sells like hotcakes. I had a really trouble getting it anywhere near MSRP, which even as a broker, I kind of anticipated that it would be a little bit of a different story, and it was quite the opposite, and it turned into this thing. We had to order it from factory. We were having trouble getting it near MSRP, and I ended up getting him a couple grand off. Then we had to wait 3 months for it, so it was a whole thing.
Okay, so more cool that you got it done than the fact that it, okay.
But in terms of a cool car, I mean, I do Porsches. I've done a Lamborghini before, but I mean, I'm really into I like purist cars, like manual BMWs, manual Porsches. Like that's kind of where
That's your
I'm
thing.
a little bit of a car snob, because I was listening to car podcasts and stuff since I was a kid, and I was like, I'm doing all this for fun. I have all this knowledge to give.
Okay.
I might as well make it into a business.
So I'm a classic car guy. I actually not too long ago just sold about a 450 horsepower 68 convertible Corvette.
Nice.
That was a blast. There was some stuff on the carpet, and I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, if I don't care that there's some dirt on the carpet, it's time for me not own this car anymore. So I
Right.
got rid of it. But now I'm kind of itching for something new. Do you deal with that kind of stuff at all, like resale stuff? Or is it only dealer-related, new and used?
So there's two areas that I stay away from. First one is going to be consignment, which for the audience listening, if you don't know what consignment is, essentially means Jerry wants to sell his Corvette. Kevin, I want, $50,000 for this car. I'm going to have you put it up with your connections and sell it. That's not something I do for a bunch of different reasons, mostly because it gets very emotional for my clients, and they want too much for their cars, and they think that I make these huge margins.
Yeah,
So.
and everybody with the classic cars watches the Barrett-Jackson auctions and thinks their car's worth
So-
$100,000, and it's not.
Exactly. So that actually goes
It's
to
an
my next
unrealistic
point.
expectations.
My next point is that auctions, I would have to put up the cash or play with OPM. Again, it's a very emotional sale. It's not really something that I personally do as a commercial broker. I have contacts that I could put you in touch with just as a courtesy, so I have to have those people in place. Of course, if you're looking for something specific, I always give them a call just to see if they have it, but that would be more of a coincidence.
So you're more there to help me. I'm a busy guy with a family. I work 60 hours a week, whatever. Try to go to the gym 3 days a week. My wife and I do a dinner. We got kids' soccer games and stuff, and just that whole idea of going out shopping and finding a car scares the heck out of me. You're just going to come in and save the day.
Yeah, so
Put the cape on, be my little car Superman guy, and just go find it and deliver it.
Yeah.
And I'll get as good or better of a price typically. Is that fair to say?
almost always. So,
Okay.
and like I said,
And that's I think that's a misconception that if I use you, it will cost more.
yes. So people also think that I'm taking a direct fee. There are instances, classic car, for example, right? That classic car
different
guy,
story.
he's not going to pay me a margin. If I
Right.
go to a wholesaler, which is something I do for used cars, they're going to sell me a car at cost where I have to put a margin on it. So typically I would charge my client. But if I'm getting anything from a dealer, there's no fee. The other piece, which I kind of touched on earlier, is the fact that it's finance, man. So it's like I always tell people, in a dealer, if someone gives you a lot of people don't even know that money factors exist. So if the audience is listening, a money factor is essentially interest rate on a lease, right? Which,
Right.
they don't have to tell you that it's there.
They just tell you the
But
payment.
if you say my payments on this Honda Accord is $450, that's my goal. I say sounds good. If a dealer gives me the deal and they say the money factor's X on this car, I know if it's a bad deal, even if it is at $450. So people sometimes don't even realize that they got the payment they want, good for them, but the dealer still squeezed them.
Yeah, and there's so many things that they can do. So again, your value is one, taking the time to find the car, identify the deal, no matter where it is. Two, helping to just not even negotiate the price, just get the price. But also making sure that I'm not getting beat up, squeezed on the back end.
Correct.
Because the last car dealership I was involved with, it was a finance situation, and we got the price where we wanted it. Then they tried to get me on the
Wheel and
on
tire.
on the higher interest rate.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were
Yep.
trying to get some back end money, and I said, not a chance. But knowing what I know, I got the price where I wanted it. Let them get the rate a little higher than I would want it to get the price where I wanted it. Made sure there was no prepayment penalty, and then I just refinanced it at my credit union a month or two later and got where I wanted to be, letting them get their back end kick and just kind of understanding how to massage the deal a little bit. But again, most people don't know that kind of stuff, and they got you to the payment. So the other thing I was going to ask is the timing. So let's just say I came to you today and said, I need a car. There's a difference between want a car and need a car. If I need a car because mine's broken, is there some sense of urgency that you can add and make it happen faster? What's the typical timeline between nice to meet you, Kevin, here's what I want, and delivery?
Average timeline would be a little bit difficult to say, but realistically, it could be as quick as 24 hours, and it could be as long as a few months, right? Like the Toyota Sienna is a great example. It seems like a simple request, right? And there are dealers that have this car, but it's just not there because they know that in order to get a price where they want it, it's going to require a lot of legwork. So in that case, that was a specific request. They wanted this specific car at this specific price. So that actually ended up taking months. But I'd say the average request is 3 days. I'd say between, hey, this is what I want, and assuming they're not shopping around and tire kicking and unsure. But if you're like, I want the Honda, I want the Toyota Sienna, I want the Porsche, and it's got to be this color, that's just a few phone calls. If I have it, I can get it to you in less than 24 hours.
Which is maybe a day longer than it would take me to go.
Correct.
A couple different dealerships.
But they can talk to the wife at home, and they can do
Gotcha.
all that.
Okay. So it's a reasonable time frame, same price or less, probably.
Yes.
You can't guarantee that, but probably no worse of a deal. No. More likely better without all the hassles.
So I want to touch on that piece. So there's 2 reasons you would use a broker. Main reasons, right? One door is time. That's really the main one.
And that's valuable.
And time is money, especially for someone in your industry, you understand that aspect of it. Then there's another door that's just going to be people that just really want the best price, right? And then the split down the middle is just somebody that's in your corner that can give you both, right? I can save you a few bucks, but I can also save you the time of being a dealer to ensure, let them look over the purchase agreement before they sign, instead of just getting passed one across the table and kind of just assuming that they know that what they're looking at, right? Like I can explain things to them. And so those are really the 2 main reasons that someone would call me, and also the 2 value reasons would be just time and money.
Okay. Yeah, and I told you earlier, I had a misconception that it would cost more to use someone like you, but I always thought, okay, but still, I did use a broker once. It ends up, we couldn't get the deal that I wanted. I had to do something else. And long story short, I tried, but I realized, again, we were talking about like a travel agent. The misconception is, the perception is that it costs more, when in reality, oftentimes it doesn't. But you take all the problems out of it and all the time out of it. So I imagine when you were 4 years old, 5 years old, and your uncle or aunt said, what do you want to be when you grow up? You probably didn't say car broker.
No, I sure didn't.
How did you get here? What was the path to car broker, and where do you think it'll end up? And then we'll wrap it up with that.
Sure. So I got into brokering purely because I love cars. I was in tech for about 10 years, selling and doing a lot of products, which I really enjoyed that experience. It taught me how to bob and weave through relationships. It honestly kind of led to how I was able to meet you, which was awesome, right? But I wanted clients. That's another thing that I really want to highlight about brokering, is the fact that I'm looking for people that don't just want to buy a car and say, all right, I'll see you never again.
Right.
I mean, that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm trying to build a relationship with these people, and I love cars. And I was like, going to a dealership, it could be relationship based, because I always say I'm frenemies with the dealers. I can't just talk too much smack.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is that I was like, I don't want to go to a dealer and yank people around or push them into F&I. I was like, how can I split that difference and I'm also did not want to be limited to one particular car. And my father has a very close family friend that I've known forever that was on the F&I side. And
So you said F&I a bunch of times. I know what it means. What is F&I?
It's finance.
Okay, finance.
It's the finance part of any vehicle institute.
Yeah, and I understood. You said it enough times, right? I don't think you explained what it was for someone who may not know what that is. It's the finance part of it,
correct.
Which is where the dealers make a lot of their money, finance and service.
Yes. So before I get too sidetracked, which I want to touch on the finance part in a second here, but I ended up just basically deciding that so I'd used a broker before in one of my cars, and I didn't really think it would be something. And then sure enough, through my girlfriend, they had a family friend that was one of the more successful ones in Los Angeles, and we hopped on a phone call, and then one thing led to another, and I was just like, I think this is the road.
What I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was afraid that there was no money in it, and I realized that most people fail because they don't want to do the legwork it requires to grow the book. It's like a real estate agent. It's like anything else.
Yeah, you
It's
build a
similar to you.
relationship. Yeah, you need the relationships. You need the referral sources.
And there's no one size quick Google blast that I could do. Neither could you. And
Gotcha.
That's kind of what deters people.
Okay, so we'll get this wrapped up. You wanted to talk about finance?
Yes, I wanted to just say one thing about the financial piece. One of the biggest misconceptions on vehicles in general is that I have the ability to knock $5,000 off and $45K on a car, or excuse me, on a $45K car that I get $10,000 off. That's the deal of a lifetime. The reality of it is these dealers don't really have big margins on cars, and really where you're saving the money is the interest rate. So when you work with a broker, the main thing that you're getting is access to all of my connections, which in this case would be a finance person, which would be, I have a loan officer where I spent a lot of time just trying to find people who can get me the best rates and give them good customer service. I had a lady that has hit and run, and then she contacted my mechanic and got that fixed quick. So it's a lot more than just a simple transaction, which goes right back to the client piece, which I wanted to make sure that I highlighted.
So you want to be, you are more than a car broker. You want to be an entire car resource.
Correct.
but the brokerage part of it is how you make a living. The rest of it is how you add value.
The brokerage is just the door that opens first. And then the whole point is if a client gets in touch with me and whether they use my services or not, I'm happy to connect them with anyone that's in my circle. And that just goes right back to the trust. And everyone wants to know someone in the car industry. That's really the reality of it.
Okay. So somebody watching this, website, email, phone number, how do they reach you? Right here. Right there.
So K Chasen at besmartautobrokers is the email. besmartautobrokers on Instagram. besmartautobrokers on Google. Feel free to give me a call. Would love to help you out. I'm sure there's a ton of questions. Always lots of misconceptions about it, but I'd love to get in touch with anyone.
Yeah, we'll put all that up on here and stuff. So Kevin, thank you. I appreciate you clearing up some questions about something that I was reasonably familiar with, but still found out a lot. And I know it's a misconception for others. And nothing against car dealers and owners. One of my very good friends is in the business, and I know people, and we're all entitled to make money, right? But we have to do it honestly. We have to do it ethically. And if there's a path that makes more sense for someone to buy a car, like with you, then they should give you a call.
Yes, sir.
So we're not against anything. We just want to make sure people have choices.
Any of my dealers listening, I still love you. We're still friends. We'll keep it that way.
They don't watch me. They're too
Yeah,
busy
yeah,
anyway
right.
selling cars. So
Yeah, right.
thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And thanks for watching. And tune in, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Jerry Citarella presents. What's the name of my company? Prosperitas Financial. See that?
There you go.
I don't care about the company. I just
me
want to
just
provide
turn that
valuable
for you.
information.
There you
But
go.
this is what we do at its core. Prosperitas Financial. Look us up if you need any help. Thanks a lot.